So, Monday of this week, I started the first of a 4-part series that's going to span over the next 4 weeks, where I look at 4 different characters within the Bible and stories about their lives that I really leaned on and I looked to find the encouragement that I needed to start She Wears Worth. I was at a place where I was super doubtful, overwhelmed with just this idea and constantly making excuses as to why I was not the girl to do this. And the first character that I talked about on Monday and I want to share with you today, his name is Moses. There's a good chance that whether or not you believe in all of this, that you've probably heard of the character Moses, just because he's a pretty epic character in the Bible, and he pretty much sets like all of biblical history in motion. So I know for me as a girl, before I started kind of digging into all of this on my own, I had this idea of who Moses was because in Sunday school, we had the coloring book pages of Moses with a staff in hand and arms raised as he parted the Red Sea. So in my mind, Moses was this type of like Bible Marvel comic character. But his life is so much more complex than that. He was normal, just like you and I, and he had faults and he had fears and he had worries just like you and I, which is kind of what I want to talk about today. So really quick, 30-second rundown on who Moses is. He was born an Israelite in Egypt at the time whenever the Egyptian Pharaoh did not like the Israelites. They were a suppressed people, and the Pharaoh actually made it a mandate to kill off any Hebrew or Israelite boys because he wanted the population to go down. So Moses' mother was an absolute rock star and saved Moses' life by putting him in a basket, setting him in the Nile River, and where he was found by an Egyptian princess. She then took him in. She raised Moses up as an Egyptian, and it was not until Moses was about 40 years old, he came across an Egyptian slave master beating one of his Hebrew brothers, right? So one of his people, and he, in an outrage, ended up killing this Egyptian slave master. So he did what any of us would do. Killing this Egyptian, he decided he had to leave. His cover was blown. People would know that he wasn't a true Egyptian, that he was an Israelite. And so he peaced out. He left. So the story that we talk about today picks up another 40 years later when Moses is about 80 years old. He lives to be 120, fun fact. And so when Moses is about 40, he is out tending to a flock. He is tending to a flock and he sees this bush burning. And he's kind of captivated by the fact that here's this plant, this bush that's burning, and it's not being consumed. It's not being burned up. So he approaches it, and as he approaches, he hears this voice coming from the bush, and it says, "Moses, Moses, I am the God of your father." And boom, instantly, as a believer, Moses knows that the voice coming from this burning bush is that of God's. And he takes off his sandals because he's on holy ground, and he covers his face because he does not feel like, he is worthy to be speaking to this bush that is God. And this bush goes on to tell him how he is aware of the affliction and the hard times that have come upon the Israelite people. And, God then continues to tell him that, he wants to save them from their sufferings, and that he is going to deliver the Israelites out of Egypt, and he's going to bring them into a beautiful land. And then he ends this story by telling Moses that he is going to send Moses back to Egypt, back to Pharaoh, to be the one to rescue these people out of Egypt. So the story was sounding really great to Moses, I'm sure, until it got to the part that Moses was going to have to go back to the land in which he left so he didn't die, right? So as soon as God tells him this plan, Moses' response, and I'm sure it came out of fear and worry and a bit of humility and just shock, was like, who am I? Who am I that I should go and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? Now God immediately replies with, "I will be with you." So God gives Moses this incredible challenge, this mission that he has specifically for him. And even though Moses doubts, God just tells him, "Hey, Moses, I'm going to be with you." And then again, for a second time, Moses doubts and has insecurities and starts making excuses and says, hey, if I go to them and tell the Israelites that I am the God of their fathers that has sent me, they're going to ask. They're going to ask me, what is his name? And what do I say to them? And again, God, he encourages Moses and just says, tell him this. Tell him I am who I am sent you. Guess what? A third time, Moses makes up an excuse. And he says, they're not going to believe me. They're not going to believe me. They're not going to listen to my voice. Now, after 3 failed attempts of trying to convince Moses and tell him that, yes, you were the one for this. Like, I have chosen this challenge for you. God steps up his encouragement a little bit and actually gives Moses 2 physical signs to show the Israelite people, saying, when you get there and if they doubt and if they have questions, do these things and they will know. They will know. Now, God, who is still this voice coming from a burning bush, has given Moses a mission, and he has encouraged him 3 different times, right? So you would think after this, maybe Moses is finally getting on board. Nope. Fear, doubt, worry, he's questioning it, and he says, Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you've spoken to me. I am slow in speech and in tongue. So Moses pretty much says, I am not good enough for this mission. I am not smart enough. I'm not capable of talking and giving this message and being a leader. So let's to circle back on what Moses is really saying. God created all things. So that means God created Moses. That means that God created Moses exactly the way that God wanted Moses to be. So by Moses saying that he wasn't good enough and he doesn't speak good enough or isn't smart enough, he's basically telling God, hey, what you did isn't good enough. And God comes back, and I just feel that there might be a little bit of frustration there, even though God doesn't get mad and angry and frustrated. There has to be some there. And he says, who has made man's mouth? God says, is it who makes him mute and deaf and seeing and blind? Is it not I? Is it not I, the Lord, who made all of these things? Therefore, go, Moses, and I will be your mouth, and I will teach you what to speak. So after I had read this the first couple of times, I was sure that after God called Moses, gave him a mission, and encouraged him 4 different times, Moses was going to say, yes, okay, fine, I'm on board, I'll do it. Even if reluctantly, he would say he'd go. No, a 5th time, Moses straight up says, oh my Lord, please send someone else. Really? Really, Moses? Come on. Reading this through the first time, I was so shocked. And honestly, I was a little annoyed with how Moses was acting, right? Here is God calling Moses for a specific purpose on a mission that, might have been a little scary, but God gave him everything that he needed. He talked directly to Moses. He was encouraging him. He was saying he'd be there with him. And not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 times, Moses just says, no, I'm not equipped for this. I'm not eloquent for this. You've got the wrong guy. So fast forward to a few months after that, I'd gotten the idea for She Wears Worth. And this is where the story kind of all ties in with how it affected me so much. And I was writing in my notebook one night all these ideas and what I thought She Wears Worth could be and just all these things. And I was just so overwhelmed and just so convinced that how in the heck am I ever going to do this, right? And I ended up writing a big X on that paper, and I just said, nope, you got the wrong girl. I'm not the right girl for this. And it was a light went off in my head, a big boom moment, or an aha moment. And immediately this finger that I was so easily pointing at Moses and saying come on, Moses, you're such a coward. How could you not do that? God's championing you and he's cheering you on. Literally was whoop and turned right back at me, right? Because here I knew without a doubt in my mind that I was being called to start this organization, and I had people cheering me on and people coming alongside of me and encouraging me, yet still I was making excuse after no, not for me, wrong person. I was just so sure that I was the wrong girl. So pretty soon I was okay, Moses, we have a lot in common. And like I mentioned earlier, it does not matter what you believe or if you're all on this God thing, like this will resonate with you, because as humans, it is in our human nature to fear and to worry and to doubt and to get anxious and to just think that we are not good enough. That is, unfortunately, that's just the way that we are wired. Like how many times, for me, it's dozens, but I want you to think about how many times in your life has somebody, a parent, a teacher, coworker, friend, boss, someone, anyone has asked you to do something, challenged you, told you that you would be good at something, but it seemed a little risky, or like maybe you personally thought you were really being called to take this leap of faith or move or try this job, but for some reason, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, inadequacy, pride, humility, anger, one of those feelings, it got in the way. It got in the way and you said no. You said no multiple times, right? Like you can receive encouragement. You still say no. We can receive proof that whatever it is we're going to do will turn out great. But yeah, we still find a way to say no. We receive help. People come alongside and help us, but still, yeah, no, not for me. You can know in your gut, like your heart of hearts, you can have all the signs telling you that you're on the right path, but for some reason, we let fear win and we listen to the lies. We turn away, we say no, we give up, or maybe we don't even try. And like I said, these are all things that as humans, they are innate to us. Like they are just a part of who we are, and that's one good thing, is that all of us, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how much money you have, how awesome the relationship you have with God, at some point you will have that little devil on your shoulder whispering lies to you and telling you that you are not good enough, and it's gonna linger around and pop up right when you do not want it to. But the good news is, one, you're not alone in this. Everyone feels it. Number two, these feelings have literally been around since the beginning of time. Like, they're not new. Nothing of this is new. This whole situation with Moses and the burning bush happened around like 3,470 years ago. And the best news of all, the best one, the one that I really want to hone in on and conclude with, is that we can overcome all of it. All of these fears, everything, we can overcome it if we put our trust, our hope, and our faith in the right thing. Okay, so back to the story. So after Moses tells God no for the 5th time, 5 times, God does not give up on him. God says, you know what, Moses, like I'm going to send your brother Aaron with you, and he is going to help you speak, and together you're going to accomplish these plans. And they do, and they go to Egypt and they free the people. And guess what? God did not give up. God did not say, Moses, you are too much. Like, I cannot handle you right now. Like, you need to check yourself. I'm going to go find someone else for the job. No, God does not give up. Even though Moses did not see his potential, God did. Okay? Even though you don't see your potential, God does. God doesn't give up. He has a plan for us, and he will believe in us until the end of time. And it does not matter what we do, how many times we say no, how many times we turn our back on him, how many times we give up. He is still there. He is still going to be there, pursuing, always ready to jump back in, recklessly chasing after us, knocking on the door, cheering us on until we believe it ourselves. So if someone as incredible as God can believe in you and believe in you always, why is it so hard for us to believe in ourselves? Why do we so quickly listen to our doubts and our fears and our worries? And why do our negative feelings always outweigh the positive? Even as I was working on all of this and writing it and editing it, I had that little stupid devil sitting here on my shoulder telling me, Courtney, why are you doing this? Courtney, no one's going to read it. Courtney, no one cares what you have to say, over and over again. But you know what? I made a choice. And it was hard. I'm not going to say it was easy. There are days that it brought me to tears, that I threw my notebooks across the room. You could ask my husband. I yelled a couple times, but I refused to listen because I knew that there is a plan for me and that I am supposed to be doing this. After the encounter with the burning bush, Moses then went on to be one of the most profound people in the Bible and make one of the most incredible impressions in all of biblical history and history. He trusted in God. Finally, he trusted in God, and he was able to save those oppressed Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. He then parted the Red Sea so they could walk through. He received and then recorded the 10 Commandments, which are studied by numerous religions. I know you've heard of the 10 Commandments. And eventually he delivered God's chosen people to the promised land, which was the original mission that God gave him. You or I will most likely never be asked to do something as drastic as single-handedly save an entire nation. Like, we're not. But we will be faced with challenges, and we're going to be given scary opportunities and circumstances that make us uneasy. And a lot of the time, we probably won't know what the outcome is going to be. But I challenge you, next time you hear that little voice chirping you, telling you you're not good enough, or you're not capable, or your idea is insane or unobtainable, stop listening to it and start listening to things that are true. And I'm telling you, the story of Moses putting his faith in the big guy upstairs and trusting in God, that is what is true. So if you are being called to do something, whatever that may be, take the risk, okay? Like, be obedient, say yes, and see where it goes. Because I'm telling you, if a God can use an uneducated orphan shepherd who said no 5 times to save, his chosen people, then you too, my friend, you're so capable of doing whatever challenge you have right in front of you. And the thing is, I'm not sitting here telling you that you can do anything you put your mind to, because as we've discussed, we can't. We have fear and anger and worry, and we get stressed out, and we overanalyze things, and we undercut our abilities. But God, if you have God on your side, you can do anything you put your mind to if and when you have the big guy on your side. So take the risk, right? Put your faith and insurance and hope in the big guy upstairs. And I'm telling you, like, it's gonna work out. It'll all be okay. And honestly, it'll probably be way better than you could have even imagined. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, because I know reading this story, it really impacted me, and it really opened my eyes to some of my faults and the things that I was doing wrong, and just gave me that encouragement that I needed to kind of take that first step. So if you have any questions, or you want to learn more about a part of the story, or you disagree with something, or whatever it is, please, I welcome any and all types of comments and feedback. I want to be here for you. I want to be open and as vulnerable as possible. There's more to the story I'd be happy to share with you. So yeah, send me a DM, an instant message, leave a comment under the video wherever you're at, or you could go to shewearsworth.com and leave a message there, or you can send me an email directly. It's just Courtney@shewearsworth.com. But yeah, I hope if there's someone out there that needed to hear this message, my hope and prayer is that you heard it. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you needed this, then this is for you. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. And I am excited to see you guys next week and talk about the next character that really encouraged me and gave me the faith I need to get this thing going. Have a good day. Bye, guys.